It's the final percent. The final percent. Yeah.
All right, we're back with the final percent, and this is Greg and Cayla Kimble. I'm going to interview my most favorite human being on planet Earth.
Aw, shucks.
Aw, shucks.
Little old me?
Little old you, you know? So, you know, I'd say trying times have been happening. It's just like any other part of life. It's opportunity mixed with adversity. But I think it's important to talk about, you know, how are we getting through this as a couple? How are we getting through this as business owners? How are we getting through this personally? And the thing that, because here's one of my favorite things about my wife, guys. I can tell she's nervous right now. And when I push this red button and how she gets fidgety, it's like the cutest fidgety on planet Earth. So
I always do this with the cord, even when we're recording in session. I'm always like twirling my finger in this thing. I don't know why I do it, but thanks for calling me out for it, though.
Well, I figure
love and marriage.
Well, I figure, you know, let's just draw attention to it. Then you're gonna be like, darn you, and then we'll just we'll keep it moving. But I want to actually, because I feel like you're in an amazing mental place right now. I think you're doing really good.
Thanks.
I want to go back to when you weren't. Of course, right? I want to talk about all the hard stuff.
That was a good time.
Yeah. So, you know, us, just like any other business, I mean, we had the thoughts of, hey, are we going to have to close our doors? Where do we go from here? What's going on? How do we navigate something that's never been navigated before? And I think that there's still a lot of people who are very scared. They're very uncertain. But I will say that, I mean, and don't get me wrong, I'm not exempt from this. Just because I'm Mr. Positive on these things doesn't mean I didn't go through my own freak out moments, you know?
Right. I think everybody did in their own way.
But I want to talk about you as someone who is historically a little bit more conservative than I am. I am more about the optimism, and she's more about the realism. And like I said, if you take those two things and you go down the middle, that's good entrepreneurship. And there's some times where you've had to bring me down and I've had to bring you up.
That's why we're the best team.
That's why we're the best team. So I want to talk, because I'm used to kind of making that mental shift and bobbing and weaving and pivoting and you know, wrestling and tussling with life. You know, we have gone through so much together. I want to talk about the first big mental shift that you did way back when. And not necessarily, I'm not saying let's talk about that one specific, but to this one, you're getting better at really shifting your mind and really getting in the right mindset and overcoming adversity, even though it seems like adversity is just taunting you we just wrote a song where she starts out singing "Adversity is taunting me." That's why I threw that in there.
It's very fitting for the times that we are currently in.
It is. But I want, from your perspective, because people are used to me being Mr. Coach and inspiring and rah-rah and let's go and let's do this. You're a little bit more reserved with your emotions in that regard. You're reserved with your emotions online. What are some of the things that you go through personally to make those mental shifts? Because I think that your process can actually help people, so many more people, and is more applicable to people than my process. Because I'll just be a light switch and be like, I'm done. I just choose not to. And you're like, what? No.
Right.
I've got some stuff to do. So I want to talk about that, because I know that we had, 2, 3, 4 really scary days. And then I saw this just amazing shift in you. And then you were Superwoman. And just help me understand the thought process. Help me understand the decisions that you made. Help me understand the things that get you through.
So I always kind of start out by, like you said, in a nice way, as the realist, as some might call more of a pessimistic standpoint. I usually kind of default to that off the jump, and I have my own little internal mental freak out a little bit, if you will. That's kind of what I call it. It was tough this time, since there's so much on the line. There's so many people coming to me, looking to me as the leader at KMG, and with all the team, the students, I mean, even the executive team. There's a lot of logistics to figure out, things to do. And I remember just kind of sitting in my office by myself, kind of going through it a little bit. And honestly, I just kind of snapped out of it and just remembered, you said, action is perfection. And I started kind of giving myself a little pep talk, and I just jumped up and I just went into action. Because I'm like, honestly, the stress, the anxiety, the questions, the uncertainty, none of it matters right now. I don't have control over any of that. I don't have control over what's going on in the world. I don't have control over what's going to happen tomorrow, or what certain people are going to say to me, or what's going to happen to our business. But the things that I can control are my attitude, my gratitude, my actions, my decisions. And so I just jumped into overdrive and just started getting stuff done as much as I could. And I think feeling that sense of momentum personally in my own life gave me it helped me with that mental shift and gave me some sort of semblance of hope for the future. And I just kind of turned my brain off, because my brain likes to run in circles a lot of the time.
What about this? What
about this? Greg always makes fun of me because I usually wake up before he does, and I'll jump, in our room, and I'll after my workout, after my morning routine.
I'm still sleeping.
He's just waking up. His eyes are all squinty, and then here I am. I'm like, so you ready? What about this? What about this? What about this? Because I've been thinking and doing stuff for a couple hours.
And I just look at her and I'm like, coffee.
Just one step at a time.
I just need coffee right now.
So that's kind of a joke now that we have. But I did the same thing, but to myself. I just went into overdrive of what about this? And I kind of stopped thinking about it, and also not exposing myself to all of that negativity, not checking the news every 10 minutes, surrounding myself with extremely positive people, and just trying to forcefully, at the time, infuse my life with more positivity is what started that trickle effect of the mindset shift.
So it's almost like you chose to apply positive energy in 1% of your life, and it turned into a light and started driving out 100% of the darkness.
Yeah, a little bit.
Hey, we've been talking about that.
Yeah, and I just manufactured the energy.
There we go.
I felt the fear and did it anyway.
Yep.
So many of these reoccurring concepts, and just revisiting them in my head every morning in my morning routine to get myself off on the right foot is kind of how I mentally prepare to go into what I like to call battle every day. And it's definitely more applicable now more than ever.
Well, I think also we've been talking a lot about the vulnerability of America right now. We got our butts handed to us, and the vulnerabilities are there. We are not the invincible thing that I think a lot of us started to think that we were. And I think it's important to understand that, yes, vulnerability is back in our life. But what if you're alone? I mean, I got to go through this with you by my side.
Yeah.
And I have thought often about what would I have done if I was a solopreneur, a truly solopreneur, and went home to an empty house every night. I don't know what I would go through. And I think for all of those people out there, because especially with these stay-at-home orders in place, we've got to think about those people, because right now community is more important than it's ever been. We have a call at 3:33 that we do, and the reason we do it on Zoom is so that we can be more interactive with one another, and we can create a community. It's every day, Mountain Standard Time, 3:33. The Zoom room that you should go to is 303-033-0033. I tried to get as many threes as I could.
Are you surprised?
You shouldn't be surprised.
Just saying.
But, you know, there's been a lot of moments in this where I struggle with saying the whole as a man thing. I think we can probably just do away with that saying because everyone says, as a man, I want to be strong. As a man, one desire. But the thing is, I know I couldn't have done this without my wife by my side, and I know that I'm no stronger than she is. There's been a million times I've looked at you without you realizing it, and your smile, that smile right there gave me strength. It was the thing that got me through. And I think that for everyone out there, don't be scared, even if it's digitally, to reach out. And if it's not us, that's completely fine, but reach out to someone. Get on the phone. I've often said in my advertising company, in a world where everyone is connected, no one is connecting. Well, we're violently shoved into having to truly be the people who are connecting. And I think because of this, we are going to use technology in a completely different way. I think that's one of the really cool things about this is because of this, we are going to use technology, I think, in a much more productive way than we ever have, you know? But it doesn't change the fact that I do, even though this is hard, even though I'm trying to navigate it just like everyone else, I do recognize the fact that I get to do it with you by my side. And that makes me realize, like, truly I can do anything in the world because I have you by my side.
I honestly feel the exact same way about you. And again, here we go on our podcast together, just being mushballs, saying how much we love one another.
Hey, it is. It is what it is. It is just, you should know by now. If you know us, you know we are fans of each other. We love each other.
But honestly, my biggest mindset shift truly began when you started shifting your language and you changed how you were speaking about this whole thing and saying how this is actually a moment of opportunity, not a moment of adversity, and talking about community and gratitude and all the things that we're learning and technology and how we're going to move forward. This actually is a very special time. Mm-hmm. And then I started changing my language, and then I started changing other people's language. Mm-hmm. And it's such a powerful thing. But my point is to just surround yourself with the right people who are on that frequency and are speaking positively and who can encourage you and be that light, just like that that podcast that you did about let's all act like candles. Mm-hmm. That's a way that you can be a candle, and it'll take no energy away from you, but you'll be gifting other people energy everywhere you go.
Exactly right.
And that was the biggest thing for me, and that kind of piggybacks off of what you were saying about community and making those calls to friends and family now more than ever. And I was just talking to one of my friends recently who is alone, and I was telling him, hey, use Zoom, because phone calls are great, but there's something about that element of seeing someone's face that's missing. And if that's the only kind of connection that you can have right now, Zoom all day, every day, and get that Zoom connection alive. That's what's going to help your heart and your mind during this time.
Absolutely. Well, and it's good to recognize those people who could be scared right now, but they won't be the ones to reach out. If you're in a place of strength, right now is the time to use that strength to lift people up.
Yep.
And that's what we do for each other in a lot of ways without realizing it. But it just got me thinking, like, man, I really feel for people who are battling the enemy within right now, which is those what about this moments that just snowball and spiral. And so if you don't, I think one of the things that we just want to get across is if you don't, please join one of our communities. We have the Final Percent Network group, which is just networking with other entrepreneurs and other people who could potentially be a sounding board for you, someone who could understand you, someone who cares. We have to come from a place of caring.
Yep.
And if it's not one of our companies, connect with somebody, connect with a loved one, relationships, be purposeful and deliberate in how you're connecting with people. And then also I talked about this on the 333 call is just remember everyone is scared right now. So just because you intend to be funny, you have no idea the impact that it's going to make on their life. So if they don't find one of your memes funny, which obviously everyone's creating memes right now, but if they don't find it funny and they want to lash out, don't try to change them. Don't try to convert their mindset. You know what? If anything, if it gets out of proportion, just delete the dang post. You know what I mean? You don't need to defend your position over a meme. If it hurts somebody, you know what? Just delete it, or just talk to them privately and say, hey, I'm sorry that that was not the intent of that post. I was intending this, but I completely understand where you're coming from. Come from a place of understanding, and I think that we'll be okay. But you know, what are some thoughts that you would want to leave people with? I'm going to let you wrap this podcast up, because if they're here, they've heard me talk before. This is like dessert. Like, this is like a great piece of chocolate. You know what I mean? A fine wine, if you will. And I would love for you to just let people know what's been on your heart, your brain. What's your what about this moment that, you know, you think people should know, you think people should understand or come from? Whatever it is, you're going to wrap this up. Why? Because they have the unbelievable opportunity, honor, and privilege to have Mrs. I like that. Mrs. Cayla Kimble on here. And I adore and respect you so much. And a lot of people see me, and here I am talking a bunch and pontificating and all that good stuff. But a lot of people see me talk a lot, but I need to be very clear right now. It is not a Greg show at the final percent. There's a lot of people involved in the different companies I'm involved with, and Cayla is every bit as important as I am. And in a lot of ways, in those quiet moments without the big bravado and stuff, she's the one who gets me through the day and pumps me up. And sometimes she's been you know, down on herself or maybe a little insecure. And I always tell her, I'm like, look, if I'm coaching all these businesses and all these people and I go to you to get my source of strength, what does that say about you? I'm telling you guys, this woman is unbelievable and incredibly powerful. So without further ado, this is the bomb that she's going to drop right now.
Well, thanks for that. Don't know how I can follow that up, but just one thing that's been on my heart throughout this whole thing is just realizing, I mean, I've realized so many things, but just write stuff down as often as you think of them. I'm so excited to reflect on all of my thoughts and realizations and ideas after all of this is said and done, because I really want to try to utilize all of those things to create a better future. And like you've said, you've elaborated on plenty of times on the 333 call of, we don't want to rebuild something that's so fragile to potentially fall down again so easily in the future, that we want to build in a new direction. And that's not just our government, society, communities, our business, but I'm taking that deep within, and I'm applying that to my life personally. I want to build myself in a new, better, stronger, more resilient direction. Not that I was completely broken by this at all. It's just, I feel like I haven't
maybe
been
not broken,
really,
but you've been awoken.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I like that.
Ooh, we should do that. Yeah. Don't be broken, become awoken.
Yeah.
Become woke.
Stay woke, everyone.
Sorry, I got a little gangster there for a second. So.
But I think everybody needs to be very reflective and introspective during this time and figure out what in your life do you want to do differently moving forward, because there's some elements of all of this insanity that I've actually come to really appreciate. I have more quality time with you. I have more focused, productive time while I'm at work. I'm communicating more with people. I've been more active on the online communities that we're in. I'm getting more active on doing videos on Instagram that I was always, too self-conscious to do before for whatever reason. And
why? Literally, you're staring at the most beautiful woman alive. It's unbelievable.
I want everyone to just really take this time and soak up as much knowledge as you can, as much information as you can, write stuff down, get a good game plan for how you can build in a new direction moving forward in every aspect of your life. And I'm honestly extremely excited to see where everything ends up on the other side of this, especially where I end up. So
this has been Cayla Kimble featuring Greg Kimble on the Final Percent podcast. Thanks for coming, guys. Great job, baby.
The final percent.